Welcome to Easter morning. Welcome to St. David's. We're so glad you're here, and I'm so very sorry that some of you do not have seats. For our friends who are in the chapel, can you hear me? Fantastic. I'm gonna work hard to project so that you can. Um, Hallelujah, Christ is risen. Well done. It's like you rehearsed. Friends, on this morning, on this astonishing, radiant, world turning morning, we hear St. Luke tell it like this. He says the story is that the women came at dawn. How many of you were up at dawn? A bunch of you have small children, so I know some of you were up at dawn. The women came at dawn, not expecting joy, but tending to grief. I just want you to think about that for a second, friends, as we gather today. Everybody's already hopefully showered because you're in close proximity to one another. Showered, did all of your ablutions, all of the things. You've gotten dressed, you've gotten ready, you've had your coffee, probably some chocolate, all of the things. You're ready. But these women got up before the sun came up and did not shower, did not have their morning espresso. They did not have whatever it is that you all had this morning to fortify yourself for this experience. All they had were spices and oils and a lot of grief. So they came with those spices, they came with ritual, with care, and with sorrow. And then they got to the tomb, and nothing was as expected. I imagine they expected this, right? They expected the weeping and the wailing. They expected this. And instead of the weeping, instead of the wailing, instead of death, they were met with dazzling light. Dazzling light. I don't know what that is in Greek. I always mean to look when men show up in dazzling clothes. I always mean to look up what is the Greek for that? Like Soul Train dazzle? What are we talking? What kind of dazzle are we talking? Dazzling clothes is what they found instead of death. Instead of a sealed tomb, they found a stone rolled away. Instead of a body, they found angels clothed in what Luke describes as dazzling garments. I would imagine it's the kind of brilliance that stops you in your tracks, that unsettles, that announces that something utterly new, utterly amazing is happening. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here, but he is risen. Now, for us, we think that just must mean, right, when you are met in a garden full of grief by men in dazzling clothes that just look like they jumped out of, right, Soul Train, you think, well, all right, here we are, it's a party, but they're still terrified. The women are still terrified, so they bow low and they listen. And then you can just almost see and imagine what happens. They start to remember. Oh, that's right, he talked about this. He told us that this was going to happen. And then they run. And they go and they tell others with their hearts pounding, right? Language probably tripping over itself, not putting words together the way that they should. And when they speak, what do we hear? This is my favorite. Their words are dismissed as an idle tale. Oh, those women and their idle tales. Think about that. What was first professed on that first morning was thought simply to be nothing more than the idle tale of a bunch of women who probably didn't sleep very well and were still caught up in their grief. And 2,000 plus years later, friends, we can never find enough room in our church for all of the people that want to come and hear and celebrate this idle tale. We live in a world, I think, where cynicism is considered wisdom, friends. I just want you to think about that for a second. It's a beautiful world. We celebrate that. We know that. But grief is often easier to believe than joy. And it has been that way since the dawn of time. We did not invent that. But Easter refuses to fit our expectations. It refuses to stay in the tomb. And this, friends, is where our feast begins. Now, just a couple of nights ago, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm not going to use names because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but someone shared this with me this morning, and I think it says all of the things. So many people left our Good Friday service and wrote and texted the other clergy and me, telling us what an experience it was to come and worship in a dark space. No flowers, no linens, no vestments, no candlesticks, no crosses, no nothing, just bare wood, anything that is not nailed down, taken away. To process the wooden cross, to sit in front of it. And then I heard this morning the story of one younger person who happened to be in our midst, who left here thinking, God, it would have been really nice if they have just thrown a little bit of happiness, a little bit of joy. That was a real downer. The children among us know this, friends, that joy is no idle tale. That even in the darkest darkness, even in the grief, even in the wailing and the weeping and the gnashing of teeth, there is always that little bit of joy. We call that God. Friends, we've spent Lent together as a community learning how to pay attention yet again, how to be intentional, how to clear space in our lives and in our spirits. And some of us fasted in some way. For the first time, we had a fasting group. It was not a test of willpower. It wasn't only the strongest among us or the dumbest among us who did this. But it was a group, and it was a dedicated group who learned to fast as an act of preparation, as a way of learning how to long again, how to hunger for something real. For adults, we need help remembering what that's like. For young people, it's just there. You leave on a Good Friday and say, well, that was real pretty and all, but there was something missing. And now here we are at the tomb that is empty, at the table that is set, at the feast that begins not with food, but with joy, with that little something. True feasting, as the church imagines it, is not indulgence. It isn't a sugar rush. It's not that Reese's Pieces, Cadbury, egg, whatever it is that you just can't wait to have. It's not even the mimosa that some of you might want when we're done. Feasting in the Christian tradition is an act of recognition. It's the moment when we realize that we are not alone, that death has been undone, that love has had the last word. It's not about taking more, It's about receiving what is already more than enough. Feasting is bread broken and shared. Feasting is hearts burning within us on the road. It's tears of joy that you didn't expect. It's the song that swells in our throats, even when we thought our voice was gone. It's the community that shows up at dawn and still believes in angels, even when the world says that they are not real. And feasting, friends, takes practice. That's why we have 50 days. That's a 5 and a 0, not a 1 and a 5, a 5 and a 0, 50 days of Easter. Easter is not just a morning. It is not just one service. 50 days to practice joy, to learn the rhythm of resurrection, to let it sink in, because joy too can be a discipline. So maybe, friends, maybe the invitation this morning isn't just to recognize. It's to keep rejoicing. It's to let that dazzling light of Easter keep startling you awake in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever you forget. To take your place at the table, not just for this moment, but for a season. To trust that God is not finished yet. To trust in that desire, that need for just a little, where is that joy? Where is that something to remember? Friends, Christ is risen. That is no idle tale. The tomb is empty, and the angels are still dazzling, and the feast has only just begun. Alleluia.